Hello everybody, Andy here again. But I wanted to do an update. I did one of those videos, one of my vlog a day videos, a couple of weeks ago now. Time flies, doesn't it? And I was talking about Hastings Rock Radio, the station that I'm involved with over there. And I did happen to mention in there the fact that we were having trouble getting money and everything, and we were going to be having a big meeting that would decide the fate of the station for this particular year. So I thought I'd update you on that. But it sort of brings me on to other topics as to all these subjects that I talk about. Well, anyway, we had our meeting a couple of weeks ago, getting on for a couple of weeks ago now, and I think I mentioned I'll post this as a response. So if you want to find out a bit more detail about radio in general and Hastings Rock, the particular station, you can find out by the video this is responded to. But in essence, very quickly, we need approximately £6,000, $9,000 American dollars, I suppose, every year to get us on the air. We don't get any money out of it. We have to put money in if we don't get that sort of money through advertising, etc. And we would sort of set a deadline for February the 19th, 17th, something like that, where we're going to have this meeting. Well, we had the meeting, and talking to people, it was obvious that we were not going to be able to raise the money. So we've had to reluctantly take the decision to actually sort of cancel the broadcast for this particular year, because we always broadcast in May, and we have to give about 6 weeks notice to get the licenses and everything in place for us to go on the air. We could do it another time of the year, but I don't think it would ever really work. Traditionally we always come on the air in May, so we didn't. Well, we thought we did do it once at Christmas, but that's another issue. But it's talking to the people in the meeting, the other members of the committee, and talking to them and their experiences. We're all trying to get people involved, advertising, sponsors, people just donating money, and we'd all tried various different avenues. We had people amongst the group who deal in business, who are sort of small business people themselves, other people who've got contacts, you know, the usual sort of general all-round way of looking at these things and way of approaching these things. And just about everybody had drawn pretty much a blank. Now, we all know about the sort of the credit crunch and the economic climate that there is at the moment, and that really came out across with this. And I think that this is just showing how bad it is. And I don't think it's so much that people are really being affected now, although people are being affected. It is their perception of the future. They don't want to sort of think about the future, put money in. People saying, well, we'd like to, or we can't give you as much this year, or we can't give you anything this year, or we're waiting to see, that type of thing. Another way that sort of brought it home to me, and I mean, I do understand advertisers and everybody, businesses, thinking about this and having to cut back because of what's going on. I totally understand that. I'm not criticising anybody, it's just the way that things are at the moment. But another indicator is the local music scene in because I deal with the local music for the radio station, and I sort of present a local music show where we're on the air, so I won't be doing that this year. But as I always do, I usually started like a little database at the beginning of January, where I start putting down all the tracks and all the new bands, because I usually try and play completely new music. I don't like to repeat anything from year to year, maybe a couple of sort of local classic, I suppose, and that's about it. So I start a database and start putting things in. Well, this year I hadn't even started a database, which is one indicator, I suppose. But as per usual, I put the feelers out, I put things into the local press, the local free magazines, you know, free sheets that people give out, put it on the blog, on the Hastings Rock MySpace page. I put a link up there, which I run, and let people know, etc. And I got very, very little response. I got a couple of CDs through, and one of them I think was just someone sending something in, thinking it's about time that I sent something in because you'll be on the air in May, type of thing. Not coming through the adverts. I broadcast the area that we broadcast to, the Hastings and Eastbourne area last year. Over at Eastbourne, I got a lot of music from that sort of side because there's a bit of a scene going on there. I had no inquiries, no emails, no contact at all from that particular area, and very little from anywhere in particular. So that brought it home to me as well, and something that I relayed in the meeting, that gets you concerned, because if people aren't talking about music generally, whether it be local music, and the local music scene in our area is a very strong, or usually a very strong scene. It's one thing that we pride ourselves on doing with the station, is playing local music and promoting local bands. We've given lots of people their one and only play ever on a radio, if you know what I mean, and which is always great when you're in a band. I've been there to hear a song of yours on the radio, albeit a local small time station. It still sounds good, it's out there, you know, and it gives people a kick, it gives people a lift, even if it's only for a short time, but there is a sense of achievement there for those people, and it's great to be able to do that for them, and even for some bands who've gone on to slightly bigger and better things, to be able to be playing their sort of thing on the radio in this particular area anyway. And that just brought it home to me, and I just think that there's a sort of a sense of apathy around at the moment in the music industry generally, locally, right across the world. I mentioned I've just recently done the review of the new U2 album, and I think I said in there something about, I think that the music industry are looking for this album to be a big one. It needs to be a big seller, it needs to sell lots of copies to get people back into music again, get people back into buying music, not necessarily from the band's point of view, but for the industry's point of view. I think they're noticing these things. Okay, I know there are other factors, the internet, etc., we all know about that, but they need a boost, and I think this is sort of an indicator of that as well, with the way that, you know, the local music scene, there's nothing happening. Something needs to happen, but I just feel that there's a sort of a sense of apathy in there. I will read you something that came out. A friend of ours who actually put up on a forum that we have, a very good supporter of the station. But once again, I think it just shows you what it's like. It says, I hope that last minute funds will be forthcoming, etc., etc. He said, what I can't get my head round is the fact that when Hastings Rock is on the air, the response from the listeners is always so positive. We're glad you're back. Hastings really needs this. You know, you're the best thing, 6 sliced bread, etc. And the things that we do, we always put on gigs on the last night, and there's the pub that we do them in said it's the busiest night of the year, even after New Year's Eve and everything. They take more money on that night than any other night of the year, so it shows you. And everyone is happy that we're there. The enthusiasm just never seems to go any further than paying lip service after the broadcast has gone. And I think that's part of the problem, is that people are happy for things to be there. I have tackled this before. People are happy for things to be there. They expect them to be there, but they're not willing to give up even a little amount of time, even a little amount of support to enable those things to be on the air in the first place. I don't think people realise how much goes on behind the scenes, and I've learnt that through my experiences here. And I just think that this sort of apathy type of thing is creeping in as well, apart from what that guy was saying, which I think he's put an unpalatable truth that people just aren't interested outside of the radio station, and to be critical of maybe some of the people involved with the station. Some of the DJs are like that as well. Hate to be critical, but they only want to be there when it's on the air, and they just, oh well, I'll do my normal show. They're not bothered about the rest of the year. They're not interested, or certainly don't show an interest. And I think that's an indicator, once again, across the board of what it's like elsewhere. We all expect these things to be on. We all expect the events to take place. We never think about what goes on behind the scenes and the effort and the time, etc., money even, that it takes to get these things on the air or in place and those events to actually happen. But I think at the moment there's so much apathy. People don't want to get involved. And as I said, the apathy with the sort of local music scene and the way that the economics is around the world, and I think people are getting dragged into that. People are getting drawn into it. They're reading the bad headlines. They're hearing about their friends or whatever who are losing their jobs. People on the internet, I've seen people on Twitter, etc., losing their jobs, and it starts to have an effect on you. It starts to drag everybody down, and quite understandably so. So I'm just concerned about all of this. This is just one little thing, the Hastings Rock broadcast. I know other events that I'm involved with, albeit on a lot less scale. The Beatles Day event, which is taking place on April the 5th here, which raises money for cancer, local cancer charities. That was having trouble getting sponsors. I know they have got them, but once again, that's a big, well-known event, again in the town, a big high-profile event, and people still maybe don't want to get involved or can't put the money there as well. So there you go. That's just an indication. I just thought I'll put that news across. As I said, if you want to know what I'm talking about, look below there for what this is responding to. And I'd love to know what you felt there. Are you feeling sort of apathetic generally about what's going on? Is it you sort of getting sucked into this? Are you getting drawn into this? Even if you know your job appears to be secure, you're not doing too bad generally, but are you being dragged into it? I'm trying not to be, but when you get involved with something like this and you see what it's like and the sort of deflation, I'm hoping that come May the 2nd, when we would have been on air, when everybody turns their sort of radios on and thinks, well, okay, where are you then? Why aren't you there? They might start to realise why we're not there. I've just had to write a blog for the MySpace page and trying to be a bit diplomatic because, you know, every event, everything like this needs support of people, vocal support, monetary support, or support in any way that they can get it. And they need to realise sometimes that these events can't happen without that support. And when they start falling by the wayside, maybe people will start to sort of prick up their ears and think, oh well, maybe we ought to do something. I have a feeling that they won't. They'll just let these things float by, because that's my experience. I've done it before in the past, and you think, oh well, it doesn't matter, it will come back next year. I'm not going to bother writing that letter or signing that petition or donating that £5 or whatever it might be. So anyway, love to know your thoughts on this. Maybe a little bit of a rant in some ways, but there you go. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because time is running short once again. So I shall speak to you again soon. Goodbye.